Welcome to the Empowered with Erika podcast. My name is Erika Vishkalis, and I'm an empowerment coach, mindset mentor, personal development enthusiast, and holistic health advocate. I've spent the last several years healing my mind, body, and soul, and have learned so much along the way. From healing trauma to navigating a sober lifestyle and learning how to step into my personal power, it has been transformational. If you are looking to heal, to be inspired, to uplevel your life, and become the most empowered version of yourself, you've come to the right place. I created this podcast to help you know you are worthy of rewriting your story and to help you navigate your own empowerment journey. You are worthy of living your most authentic, aligned, and inspired life, and I can help you get there. Whether you are diving deep into personal development or just need a weekly pick-me-up, I've got you covered. Thank you so much for pressing play today. I cannot wait to transform together. Let's get empowered. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Empowered with Erika. Your host, Erika here, and I'm so fucking excited to do this episode today. I'm a little hyped up right now, just warning y'all, but we are going to talk all about why I fucking love the moon. I have been doing a moon magic lunar tracking practice for the last 2 years, and it has completely changed my life. And as I hinted to you guys last week in last week's episode, I am releasing my first digital product tomorrow. So you're hearing this, if you're hearing it on the day of release on November 10th, well, on November 11th, because 11/11, obviously, I am sharing my first digital product, and it is going to help you learn how to live in alignment with the moon and how to incorporate that into your daily life. And I am so excited for this. So I've been working really hard on it for about a month now, and I just cannot wait to share it with you all. So why the fuck do I love the moon? What is it about? Like, one, I think I've always just loved astrology. You know, my dad got me a telescope for Christmas once when I was younger. I love the stars, love the moon. I just feel so connected to nature when I am connected to the moon. But I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about the moon magic practice. My friend Shani does it. I love it. I think she's opening up her course soon. So if you really want to do a very big deep dive, it's a bit of an investment, but it has changed my life. You should check her course out. But I have learned to track the lunar cycles because it is a way for me to connect with nature and connect to the cyclical nature of my life. And we are all cyclical beings, especially women. Okay, sorry, men, but let's just focus for a moment. Women, we have menstrual cycles. We have cycles that are about 28 days. Well, guess what? The moon is also a 28-day cycle, typically. So it makes a lot more sense to live your life instead of this linear path, the 9 to 5 hustle grind, to really kind of strategically live your life around something that is more cyclical. And I don't know why I keep saying a word that I'm struggling with, but here we are. So I love the moon. And as you guys know, the moon affects so many different things in nature. It affects the tides, it affects energy, it affects so many things. And I think that when we can find ways to connect and to ground and to be aligned with nature, it really helps keep us grounded, keep us removing stress from our life. They say that spending time in nature is so helpful for mental health, physical health, spiritual health. And you guys know how important all three of those things are. You know that I talk about that all the time. So what I love is that when you really connect to the cycles of nature through the moon, it leaves you feeling grounded and aligned with your energy and with the energy of the moon. And I've really noticed that when I've done this, I just feel like I'm living more in alignment and living more in flow and not forcing things as much and not feeling like I'm constantly in the hustle and grind of life. So let's get into some of the specifics. So for those of you who don't know, I kind of just said it, but every 28 days, we have a new moon cycle. So every lunar cycle lasts about 28 days. And so when I say a lunar cycle, I'm talking about from new moon all the way through until the next new moon. So there are eight moon phases, and there are 2 parts to each lunar cycle. So let's talk about that. So every 28 days, we have a new lunar cycle. And what I love about that is that aligns with the 12 different zodiac signs. So on every new moon, how I do my moon magic practice is I set an intention at the new moon that is based on typically, I mean, you could do it on whatever you want, but it's very powerful if you are able to align your intention based on a theme or a characteristic of something that is correlated to the zodiac sign that the sun is in at that moment. And we say that because the sun actually illuminates these characteristics of the zodiac. So currently, right now, we are in Scorpio season. It's actually still in the full moon energy right now as I am recording this podcast. But after this lunar cycle in about 14 days, if we're about halfway through, give or take about 14 days, we're going to have a new moon in Sagittarius. And so when that new moon occurs, I will be setting an intention based on the Sagittarius characteristics or themes. And only if that feels aligned, but it's very helpful to do that. And I have noticed so much abundance and it has helped me to manifest so much. So let me go back for a moment. Actually, I forgot to say this. One reason I love this program and love this practice, I should say, and it's really a bit of a spiritual practice for me, is because it helped me manifest and bring so much abundance into my life. I've manifested money this way. Kyle and I joke about this all the time, but I have manifested, I believe we manifested each other because of this. I have manifested, in my opinion, my new job because of this. And all these things that have happened in my life, growth and rebirth and all these new opportunities, I really believe happened because I started to live my life in correlation to these lunar cycles. And actually going back a bit, I learned about this program and this practice actually the day that someone pulled a gun on me and tried to rob me. And so, sorry, trigger warning, assault. But that was the day that I learned about this before that incident happened. And then after that, I was like deciding whether or not I wanted to commit to this program because, like I said, it's an investment. And I was like, okay, well, I need something. I am fucking struggling. I need something. So, what is there that I can do to help myself live and flow and live with alignment? And this just really resonated for me. And it allowed me to really dig deep. I mean, her course is very, I don't want to say it's intense, but you really dig deep. And so that's why I wanted to create this guide because it's just an introduction to living with the lunar cycles. Okay. So, anywho, each new moon, and we have 12 throughout the year, right? You choose an intention when you're doing this moon magic practice. You choose an intention that then correlates to what you want to bring forth into your life. So, one way I saw this manifestation come to fruition, I think I may have already told this story on the podcast, but I forget which lunar cycle it was. It was over the summer. I think maybe it was Aries, but I had the intention of manifesting money. I, had a lot of bills to pay, and I was just like in a phase of life where I was still getting my shit together financially. I was really learning how to manage my money better, and I was like, I just really could use an influx right now. And so, guess what happened? I took an extra athletic training job. I told it was going to be this much to work this camp this week, and then when I got the check, it was literally double what they told us they were going to pay us. Double. Like, what? How often does that happen that you just get paid double what you were expected? Hardly ever. And then it was interesting too. I think it was 2 lunar cycles before I met Kyle, I had set the intention of not finding my mate, but I had set the intention of just preparing my heart for the right person. That was my intention, just preparing my heart and my energy for the right person. And I really think that's one reason why we found each other and why we just felt like this magnet towards each other is because we both were in a place where that was what we wanted, but also we had very similar values, all these things. And I just really believe that because I was focusing on, I really believe like where you put your energy, you're going to see it come into life. Like, what's that saying where if you think about a red car, you're going to start seeing a ton of red cars? Well, when you think about manifesting something and you put your intention on it, or you put your attention on it, you're going to start to attract it more in your life, especially if you have a positive mindset towards it. It can be, I don't want to say it can be complicated because I don't think it's that complicated, but if you are having a positive mindset towards something and you're trying to attract something into your life, I really do believe that that's how this works. And I believe that's a big part of this is when you set your intention, you really are encouraged to sit with this intention for every single day of the lunar cycle, even if it's just a minute. Just think about it. I personally would like to put it on a post-it note somewhere where I'd see it every day. Okay, now going back, I just want to share like how this has helped me. It's helped me in many, many, many ways, like way more than I can talk about. I don't want to, take up too much of your guys' time, but I've been able to manifest some cool fucking shit with this practice. So, like I said, 28 days is a lunar cycle, 12 zodiac signs. I like to choose something. Right now, I'm in Scorpio, and I'm trying to remember what my intention is on. I did my intention on balance because that is one of the themes that is correlated to Scorpio. And honestly, next theme is Sagittarius, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. But there are a lot of different resources out there talking about the moon. And one thing I find really cool is how there's two parts to each lunar cycle. There are 8 phases, but there's 2 distinct parts. The first part is the first half of the lunar cycle when you go from new moon up to the full moon. And this is when the moon is increasing in size. And what's really cool is this increase in size really represents and correlates an increase in your life and an expansion in your life. I love focusing on expansion, right? And so this first half of the lunar cycle is when we set the intention, and when the intention starts to come to light and you start seeing opportunities, you start seeing ways that it can come to fruition. You may see opportunities, lessons, or just things that surround your intention come into your life. Maybe, like I said, I had that opportunity to work a camp when I was focusing on money, and then I got paid double. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't happen every day, you know? And so this first half, it's called the waxing phase, and it is when the moon is increasing, and you just focus on setting an intention and starting to take action towards helping it come to fruition. The second half of the lunar cycle is the waning phase, and that is when the moon is decreasing in size. So it represents this decrease in the intention is kind of starting to wrap up. I don't want to say ending, but you're starting to kind of put a bow on it and move forward, and you reflect on how this intention came to fruition during the first half. So the second half of the lunar cycle, you do still have phases where you take action, but it is a lot of reflection and seeing where opportunities or lessons around your intention arise. And I think this is really important because sometimes opportunities or lessons or things come into your life, and you need to be able to take a step back to really see how it ties together and where that lesson really came into your life and how it helped increase your life. Does that make sense? Like hindsight's 2020 is what they say, right? And so that's kind of this concept is it's where you get to step back and look at this first half and be like, okay, what came up that was in correlation to my intention? And then you can kind of start connecting those dots and start to make sense of everything. So now that I said that, there are 2 different energies in each cycle, and this is a yin and a yang cycle. So there are 8 phases, and I'm going to go into the 8 phases, but each phase is either a yin energy phase or a yang energy phase. And this yin energy is a being energy. So if you've been listening to this podcast for a while and you remember my divine feminine versus masculine episode and the being of the queen episode, we talk a lot about feminine versus masculine energy. So the feminine energy, the being energy, is really this yin energy. And that doesn't mean you're sitting on your ass and doing nothing. No, but it is allowing yourself to be. It's this energy of rest and reflection and allowing yourself to just really take that time to soak it all in. Soak in all the positive energy. And guys, this is something I want to say. Like, we cannot be constantly go, 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 go. That doesn't work very well. So giving yourself time to fucking take a step back and like see what's going on is really important. And this doesn't mean that you're necessarily sitting and eating bonbons, but it is taking that time to potentially slow down. So a great example of this, it's just an easy way for me to kind of explain it. An example of this is I have noticed in yin phases, I often am not as high energy. And it's not something I've did on purpose, but once I started learning about these lunar cycles, I noticed that I just naturally wanted to draw in during yin cycles. I naturally wanted to stay home more. I naturally maybe wasn't feeling the need to go for a super long run or some intense cardio or some intense weightlifting session. And I was more drawn to walks or biking or yoga or something that was still maybe active but slower pace and just a bit more comforting, you could say. So, that being energy and just really allowing yourself to be. And what I love about this practice is it gave me permission to be. This is really the first time I learned how to tap into that feminine energy that I think a lot of us do not allow ourselves to do, because we're in this culture that's like go 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 all the fucking time, right? So, it's a great practice to learn how to be, and sometimes we need that being. So, what's cool is, and you'll see this as I start to explain each different phase of the moon, but the yin and the yang, they go back and forth. So, if we start at the new moon, that's a yang, and then the crescent moon, which is the next one, is a yin, and they just keep going back and forth, right? So, every like 3 to 5 days, you're having this intense energy of doing versus this energy of being. And I love that because I think it's really what helps us to live in flow and live in alignment, because you aren't just constantly hustling, but you're also not just constantly being. You need that marriage of both, which I talked a lot about in my episode about being a queen. So if you haven't listened to that episode, that is one of my more popular ones. I would take a listen. So, in case you haven't gathered, the yang cycle is that doing energy, that energy of action, that masculine energy. And that doesn't mean you need to be bouncing off the walls. But for example, the new moon is where you set your intention. And that can be a lot of work if you're really being very intentional about it. It can be a lot of work to set your intention and to figure out what it is that you want to focus on and go on inward and reflect. It takes a lot of energy, right? Or, me recording this podcast right now during a yang cycle of the moon makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense that I have a lot more energy today and that I feel fucking hyped to fucking talk. I don't always feel that way. And so learning how to align yourself with these energy cycles, if you really look inward, at least as women, I have noticed that correlation. So I challenge you to just take a look, be like, are we in a yin or a yang? How am I feeling? Oh, it's a yin. It makes sense that I've been feeling a little slow today, that I kind of want to read and drink some tea, you know? So, like I said, each moon phase lasts about 3 to 5 days. Okay. There isn't like a hard cutoff line. And also, I want to say this, the energy kind of fades into each other. It's not like, oh, it's 11:59 on this day, so now we are moving into the next energy. That's not how it works. There is a bit of this flow. Like I said, this is all about like ease and flow and alignment, right? So there isn't just a drastic flip flop back and forth. So let's start. Now let's talk about the different moon phases. And then I'm going to share with you guys what I am releasing tomorrow. And I'm so fucking stoked. So, like I said, we have 8 moon phases. So, quick recap: there are 2 halves of the lunar cycle, the waxing and the waning. And then there are 2 energies in the lunar cycle, the yin and the yang. So, first we start with the new moon, which is a yang, also known as a doing, also known as a masculine energy. And this start of the new moon is a really powerful time. It's a very powerful time for intention setting for the upcoming lunar cycle, to reflect on what it is that you want to bring into your life during this time and to write it down. And I always encourage that you write it down in present tense. And I'm going to talk more about that like in my product. So just be aware of that. If you guys want like a deeper dive, go into my product. If you want a deeper dive, you should take the course. That's just my 2 cents. Next, after that new moon, and that new moon lasts about like 3 to 5 days, typically like 3 to 4, really, is then the crescent moon. So that's when we start to see that little sliver of moon coming forth. And this is a yin or a being energy. And so this is where you just give yourself permission to just be in this phase. You just spent a lot of energy, a lot of time setting your intention and thinking about what it is you want to manifest. So now is the time to just take note of why you feel that way. Why did you want to bring that to your life? And also, where in your life would you maybe be resistant of this rest? What does it mean to you to rest? I think it's something that this practice helped me a lot with, was just giving myself permission to rest and not feeling like a lazy piece of shit because of it. Because let's be honest, in our culture, we have a lot of negative emotions and stigma around resting. And I think it is getting better, But like, I think it's really important to just take note of that. And so this is also a great time just see like when you think about your intention, what's coming up for you, a great time to do some breath work or meditation around your intention. Okay. So then the next is the first quarter moon. So now we're going back to our yang energy. And so again, this is as the moon is getting bigger. So we're going from not seeing a moon in the sky to the moon getting gradually bigger and bigger and bigger. And this first quarter moon is again your next yang moon phase. So this is really where, like, okay, you took the time, you reflected on your intention. Now, what actions are you going to do to help it come to fruition? How are you going to make it happen? Like I've talked about a lot, with manifestation abundance, you can't just sit on your ass and expect things to just show up in your life. You have to go do the work. This podcast didn't just come out of nowhere. I've had to do the work. The product I'm launching tomorrow didn't just come out of nowhere. It took a lot of time and work, right? So what action are you going to do during this phase? And make note of some of the obstacles or challenges that may come up as you're doing this, okay? So, for a good example, would be right now I'm focusing on living in balance and harmony. Today was a really busy fucking day for me, and it was pretty much not practical or even possible, to be honest, for me to go to the gym. So, what did I do? Thankfully, I have a walking treadmill in and that I use when I work. And I wasn't able to walk while working today, but I did walk during a meeting I had later tonight. And that was really helpful. And so it allowed me to find balance. And another thing I'm, quote, doing that helps me find balance is meal prepping regularly. Things like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but again, this yang is that doing energy. So next we have the gibbous moon, and this is where it's getting really full. It's almost a full moon, but not quite. And so this is again another yin or a being energy phase, and you just took action. That's amazing. Think about, how did that go? Reflect on how you felt both in your body, your mind, and your spirit after taking action towards your intention, and like think about, is it feeling aligned for you? So the full moon is another huge energy moon, right? So we just had the gibbous yin energy. Now we're in the full moon yang energy. And this is the big moon in the sky. At the time of this recording, we're in the full moon. And how are you feeling about your intention at this time? So the full moon is a really powerful time for things to be illuminated, right? It's really bright. So what's coming up for you? And this is a really powerful time also for release. Release your limitations, release your expectations, release your worry, release the how. And if you aren't feeling aligned with your intention that you set at the beginning, release it. Release and redirect. That's one thing that's beautiful about this practice. If it's not aligning with you, fucking switch it up. You aren't stuck. Do whatever you need to do, you know? So after the full moon, and there are plenty of rituals out there you can do during the full moon that are really powerful. I've found a lot of peace with them. The next is the disseminating moon, which is a yin or a being energy. And I love this one. It's as the moon is starting to get smaller again. So that we were in the waxing phase. Now we are starting in the waning phase, right? So this is that being, this is that reflection state. So the disseminating moon is the first moon after the full moon, where the moon is starting to get smaller. And how this is where you reflect, how has the intention started to come into reality? Where have you seen it? Start reflecting. What have you maybe received? What opportunities have presented themselves? Just take some time to reflect, but also show some gratitude for all the good things that are coming into your life surrounding your intention, or just in general. The next is the third quarter moon. We only have one more phase after this, and it is a yang energy phase. And so we just reflected in the past phase. Now we can give back. So this energy, this yang doing energy, is all about being in a state of abundance and gratitude, and focusing on how you can give back to the universe. I talk about this a lot on this podcast. I think gratitude is incredibly important, especially when it comes to manifestation and abundance. I think a grateful heart is a heart that is attracting miracles, right? So your focus during this phase is, how can you give back? And how can you give back from a place of abundance, not in a place of need, not in a place of like, oh my God, I can't do that, I can't afford that. So this is also something to think about. Maybe you're kind of going through a rough time and you're in this yang phase. Maybe you really don't have it up to you to give back to someone or to the community. Maybe give back to yourself. There have been plenty of times that I've had to really focus on giving back to myself because my cup was not full and I really needed to make sure that I was refilling my cup. Okay. So it's not only about giving back towards everyone else, you can also take the time to be intentional in giving back to yourself. And then the last one is the balsamic moon. It's the yin moon. It's a yin energy. It's a being phase. And so now the moon is getting very small. It's almost the new moon, the last little phase of the lunar cycle. And this is really a time for reflection and gratitude. So, as you can see, the second half of the lunar cycle, it's all about reflection and gratitude. And the balsamic moon is really the time to sit down and be like, okay, what intention did I set at the new moon almost a month ago, about 5 days ago? What was the intention? What did I want to come to fruition? Where am I seeing that it did? Where am I seeing that it didn't? Did I take the time to rest and recover? Did I take the time to sit with my intention daily? And just thank the universe for all the lessons that she brought to you during this time. So, those are the 8 moon phases during the lunar cycle. So, like I said, we have the new moon, the crescent moon, the first quarter moon, the gibbous moon, the full moon, the disseminating moon, the third quarter moon, and then the balsamic moon. And I just fucking love the moon. So I'm sorry if this has been boring to you, but I think it's really fucking cool. And so, what I also love, guys, is like I was saying earlier, as you can see, the moon, it's a cycle. She is cyclical. I need to just edit that out. I don't know why I keep saying it. The moon is on a cycle, right? And it allows us to learn how to live with ease and flow and live in abundance. And what I love about this is it teaches us how living in alignment and flow doesn't have, and in abundance, it doesn't have to be, quote, hard. You don't have to be constantly struggling. And that doesn't, and what I love about this practice especially is you still put in the work, you still put in the time, but you also put in just as much time resting, restoring, and refilling your cup. And I think that's why it is so effective, because you are being very intentional about honoring both the feminine and the masculine energy within you, and both are incredibly important. And so this is why, guys, I created what I created and what I'm releasing, which is a lunar calendar for 2023. So I created a digital lunar calendar, but it's not just a wall calendar, guys. I talk all about, I share the moon phases. I go into what it means to be a waxing and waning phase. I go what it means to be a yin and a yang phase. I share what the 8 phases are. I share a little bit more about them. I share about the zodiac signs and some of the themes correlated. And it's like over 20 pages of documents you get in this digital download, guys. It's not just like one fucking calendar. A lot of lunar calendars you see out there are like that, but I literally made a calendar for 2023, and I then put, you will physically see on the calendar why and how sorry, I got distracted. We gotta love technology. You will see on this calendar what the moon phase is for that day. So kind of like if you wanted to flip on January 1st. What is January 1st? Up, it looks like it is a gibbous moon. So what do I do during the gibbous moon? Oh, and then the full moon is on what day? And so basically you can use it to replace your 2023 calendar, but it's going to show you where the moon is at in the sky that day. And what I love about that, though, is it's going to help you to start to learn to live in alignment with the lunar cycle and the lunar phases. And so then I also give tips and tricks on what you could do during each phase. And I created a section as well for you to write down your intention so that you can then look back at the end of 2023 at all the intentions that you set throughout the year. And I think that's really fucking cool. Personally, I know I cannot wait to use this calendar, so I cannot wait to share it with you guys. And then I also give you some tips on how to create an intention of your own. So basically, guys, I am releasing this digital calendar for less than $10 that you can download. You can print it out if you want. You could just keep it on your computer if you want. You could go get it printed as an actual calendar if you want. Really up to you. I'm so stoked for this because this has changed my life, and I really believe that it will help you to set up 2023 to be your most abundant and successful year yet. I have loved learning how to live my life in alignment with the moon. And that's why I had to share it, guys. It has completely changed my life, and it is just brought so much peace. Like, I feel like before I was often struggling, I was often in the grind, in the hustle. And now I feel like I'm just learning how to live in flow. And it sounds so corny, but trust me, guys, I feel like this is how I've been able to manifest so many beautiful things into my life. And I'm just so grateful for having learned about it when I did. And I know that it's going to help me to attract even more beautiful things into my life going forward. So if you want to learn how to manifest, if you want to learn how to live in alignment with the lunar cycles, if you listen to this podcast and you're like, kind of weird, but kind of fucking cool, I want to give it a go, then you should really check out the calendar. It's going to be available on my website, empoweredwitherika.com. I'll share it on social media. I'll put it in the show notes. I cannot wait for this to go live. I cannot wait for you guys to get your hands on it. And this is just the first of many big things to come. So thank you guys in advance for all your support. I wouldn't be here without you guys. And I know that we are just going to bring so many beautiful things coming into fruition. I know we are going to make 2023 to be the best year fucking yet. And I think this is going to be an amazing tool to help us get there. So thank you guys for listening about why I fucking love the moon. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Talk to you next time. Thank you so much for listening today. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you for taking the time to be a part of our community. Don't forget to check the show notes for the resources I shared in today's episode, and of course to connect with me on social. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at erika.vishkalis. You can also find me on Facebook at erikavishkalis. If you want to be a part of our online community, check out our Facebook group, Empowered with Erika. You can also find all of our offers and community links at empoweredwitherika.com. I always love hearing from you, so don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe, and tag me with your biggest takeaways from today's episode. Let me know what you loved and what you want to hear more about, and share it with someone who you think would love it too. I cannot wait to share more with you. I will see you next week, and don't forget to stay empowered.